Epping Forest has stood for more than 2,000 years, a sprawling woodland just outside London, where ancient trees twist like frozen shadows and the mist settles low over the mossy ground. To hikers, it is peaceful, almost enchanting. But to locals, the forest carries a darker reputation. They call it the Screaming Forest, a place where the night swallows sound and where voices have been heard crying out from between the trees when no one is there. For centuries, wanderers have spoken of whispers, footsteps, and a presence that follows just out of sight. The forest holds a long history of suicides, murders, and unexplainable vanishings, and many believe those who died here never truly left. One of the earliest documented encounters comes from the 1700s when travelers passing through Epping Forest reported hearing a woman screaming for help, only for search parties to find no one. The cries were described as near one moment, far the next, echoing in unnatural patterns. Some believed it was the spirit of a woman murdered by highwaymen, her body never found. Others claimed it was something far older, a voice the forest used to lure the living deeper into its shadows. Even today, police receive occasional reports of distress calls in the forest. Each time they search, each time they find nothing. In the 1960s and 70s, Epping Forest developed a reputation as a dumping ground for criminals. Several bodies were found hidden among the brambles, victims of gang activity. But it was not the corpses that frightened investigators. It was the strange behavior of dogs brought onto the scene. Trained search dogs refused to enter certain areas, whining and backing away from seemingly empty clearings. Officers reported sudden drops in temperature and the feeling of being watched. One retired policeman later admitted that during a nighttime search, he saw a figure standing between two trees, but when he shone his flashlight on it, there was nothing there. He never returned to the forest after dark. The most widely discussed modern case occurred in 2001, when a young woman named Rachel went missing during a morning run. Witnesses had seen her enter the forest, but no one saw her leave. Search teams combed the area for days. Dogs lost the scent within minutes. Volunteers reported hearing faint cries, but every time they followed the sound, it seemed to drift deeper, always just out of reach. Rachel was eventually found, in a part of the forest already searched multiple times. Her clothes were intact, she had no injuries, and she could not explain what had happened. The only thing she remembered was a voice calling my name from both sides at once, and a tall shadow moving where it shouldn't. Hikers today still speak of strange occurrences. Some hear hurried footsteps behind them, only to turn and find empty trails. Others report the sensation of someone tugging lightly at their clothing. There are stories of a shrouded figure that appears between the trees at dusk, standing motionless until approached, then vanishing in an instant. One man described seeing a pale face peering from behind an ancient oak, only for the face to slip silently back into the darkness. Many brush these incidents off as imagination, but those who have spent enough time in Epping Forest insist the experiences feel too real, too coordinated, as though the forest itself is playing a role. Perhaps the most chilling pattern is the echoing screams reported throughout the forest's history. They often come suddenly, loud, panicked, unmistakably human, yet they never come from a location that can be traced. Some recordings captured by paranormal investigators reveal strange harmonics in the screams, frequencies outside normal human vocal range. Others contain whispering beneath the screams, soft, overlapping voices repeating phrases that are impossible to decipher. Experts who analyzed the audio suggested it could be animals or distorted sound bouncing through the trees. But locals know better. They've heard the screams long before audio equipment existed. Several paranormal researchers propose that Epping Forest sits on a geological energy fault, a place where emotional residue accumulates, where tragedies leave imprints, where the suffering of past victims repeats itself like a broken record. In spiritual terms, this would create a stone tape effect, trapping echoes of pain within the forest's natural structure. If true, the screams may not be spirits calling for help, but moments of horror replaying endlessly. But others believe the screams are not echoes, they are lures. Something in the forest may be imitating distress to draw people deeper into the woods. A team investigating the forest in 2015 reported a particularly unsettling encounter. They were filming near an old, rotting footbridge when their equipment malfunctioned. Batteries drained instantly. A thick fog rolled in without warning. As the group attempted to leave, they heard what sounded like a woman sobbing on the path ahead. When they called out, the sobbing stopped, and the sound of something large moving through the undergrowth began circling them. One investigator later said, "It felt like the forest was closing in on us, like it didn't want us to leave." They packed up and fled, abandoning half their equipment. To this day, they refuse to return. Despite its sinister reputation, Epping Forest remains a popular walking spot. Thousands visit every year, unaware of the deeper currents of fear that coil beneath its surface. But those who know its history walk with caution. They stay close to the trails. They avoid the deeper, older parts of the woods. They never go alone. Because once the forest decides to notice you, once the whispers begin and the shadows shift, it becomes clear that Epping Forest is not merely haunted. It is alive in a way that defies understanding. Whether the screams echo from the past or originate from something lurking among the ancient trees, one thing is certain. When night falls over Epping Forest, the woods listen. The air tightens, and the shadows seem to lean closer, as if waiting for the next person to wander too far from the path. Those who have heard the forest's cries say the same thing. The screams do not sound like they want help, they sound like they want company.